Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Okay, welcome to today's show, Talking Politics on Parrot TV. I am Robert Press. You may know me as a reporter, or you may know me as the host or the moderator of the infamous 2018 debate between now Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez and a stand-in for Joe Crowley. With all these commercials coming now, we're going to need a stress ball to get through them. But let me introduce my co-host, who has been mentioned already, Anthony RIVIECCIO. Anthony, please tell us a little about yourself and what your show might be.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO. As I always like to say, I have 3 lives, which I think now are going to be 3.5. My predominant life is I am an income tax and financial advisor, celebrating my 31st year in the financial industry. My second life is that I'm an adjunct professor at both public and private universities here in the Bronx, teaching personal finance, and also the founder of a wonderful Northwest Bronx political club called Northwest Bronx Democrats. And I guess the other half of my life is a combination of being on this wonderful show as a co-host, as well as hosting our new, let me call it, financial literacy show that will be coming up this Friday, 5 p.m., every Friday, 5 p.m. And the object of it is going to have a variety of different segments, but the object is equally twofold. It's to inform people that watch of A, the economic and financial news of the week, whatever those news segments.
We only have an hour, Anthony.
And number 2, to also be sure people understand about elements of personal finance. You know, you won't find things like how to create a will, or how to create a retirement plan, or how to save properly. You won't see these things too much on CNBC and or Bloomberg TV. So we're going to try to interject both financial news and personal finance into.
Okay, we're going to charge Anthony for that 5-minute commercial there.
Absolutely.
Getting into our agenda, though, we normally talk about Bidenomics first. So, Anthony, what's happening with our economy? Inflation seems to be going up. People can't afford to go to the supermarket to buy food anymore, let alone, buy a car or even take a taxi. What's happening with inflation, Anthony? And what is that going to do?
You know, Bob, let me answer that question very directly, and of course I'll get more into details on the show today. But the money in your pocket is now 26% lower. So your dollar is now worth 76 cents. Those $1,000 contributions you've been giving out last couple of weeks are now only worth $925. Why? Because inflation is now at an annual rate of 7.2%. Where does that really hurt? Well, we'll get into details at our 5 p.m. show, but in general terms, our economy right now is growing at a 5% clip. And while in nominal terms that might sound wonderful, the reality is that with inflation being at 7 and our economy being at 5, that means our money is getting devalued, right? So we need more money to spend because our money is becoming devalued. At the 5 p.m. show, we'll get more into those details as to what is up higher than others. But I'll end it by saying this. Do you remember what our president said in October when inflation first started to rise up? Do you remember what he said?
No, I don't, unfortunately. I must be getting like our president.
He said it was a blip.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah. I
remember what he said in November when it came up again?
What was that, Anthony?
He said it was a temporary effect.
Well, we see that he's taking credit for some of the previous president's policies, too. But what else do you have to say about our economy?
Well, the most important thing I would say about our economy right now at this moment is tune in at 5 p.m. for Financial Focus University.
Excellent, Anthony. Let's move on to world, what's happening in the world. The buildup by Russia on the Ukraine border is increasing. They're bringing missiles over there now. I mean, Joe Biden sent 2,000 troops over there into Europe, but I don't, it looks like Russia's going to go into Ukraine, and we're going to be in a situation with the war possibly under Joe Biden. Is that good for our economy or not?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. Let me answer that two-part question and give you a two-part answer. Is war good for our economy? War is always good for our economy, right? We have to spend, and that is part of our government spending that makes our economy on the whole go up. So the first part of your question, the answer is yes. Now, the second part, which is of course more political, how do those political avenues dive into war? My own humble opinion, just one man's opinion, we're not going to war. The reason why we're not going to war is because Joe Biden's already proved that with Afghanistan. I will find every way out but to have a war. And of course, now he's in more trouble than ever before because now he's put his plant on it, right? Who was it that did that many years ago? They said, don't cross this line, right? So what did they do? They crossed the line. They said, well, don't cross this line, right? And I think it was Gaddafi, right? And what did Gaddafi do? He crossed the line again. Well, it's going to be the same thing all over again.
Well, that's a shame. I see you're wearing your mask today, Anthony.
Absolutely.
Are you aware, though, that you don't have to? Or is that your policy that you're wearing it? Because in certain institutions, stores, or whatever, it's up to the owner to make his policy. So is it your policy to wear your mask inside?
Bob, that's a very good question. Let me give you a two-part answer. Short answer, yes, that is our policy. But the longer answer is that, as I've always said about COVID and what's going on, everybody is confused, right? The moment that Governor Hochul made these new pronouncements about masks was the same day that our president of the United States said that, quote, and I'm quoting our president, that some of our governors might be acting in a premature way when it comes to lifting masks. That's what our president of the United States said last night.
Well,
so who's right, Bob?
Well, Anthony,
so who's right? Is the man that told us on July 4th, oh, it's going to be gone, everything is going to be fine, is he right? Or is your famous doctor, Mr. Chachi, Mr. Immunity, right?
Well,
am I right? Are you right?
Anthony,
is God right? Is Gaddafi right?
Anthony,
right?
Anthony, I saw Dr. Chachi again at Jacoby, January 31st, and it appears that he said I'm still immune. So
okay,
I have to go with the man who knows. He's the head of the health right now. So I mean, he's the expert.
He's the expert. I believe we said as the United States that what's his name was the expert.
Fauci?
Yeah, the one that they're investigating now because they're finding that all the government money is going over there, right?
Let me ask you a question,
right? He's the one that changes the policy every month because we're following the science, right? So he's the expert.
Right? We spoke offline about this, that the city was shut down at about 1.5%, and we're now down to 3.5%. So do you think we should open up again, or should we stay closed?
Well, again, I don't know the right answer. I'm a financial doctor, not a medical doctor. But according to the science that Governor Cuomo at that time was following, at 1.9, we were petrified. We said, we're going to close everything down. Okay, we didn't know whether that was the right or wrong thing to do, right? We said we were, quote, following the science. Well, you just said it yourself. As of now, that number is double, right? So where's the science?
Well, Mr. Producer, could we put up some of the pictures from yesterday? The first picture of Mayor Adams. Mayor Adams was here in the Bronx yesterday at the Mercy Center to sign two executive orders about healthy eating. And he spoke, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Producer, can we get the first one up? It's of the mayor holding a vegetable. He was talking about healthy eating, and well, I guess our producer's not going to put it up. He'll put it up at the end of the show.
No, he's like all the other mayors. He's late.
But there were three pictures of the event. The first one is the mayor holding up the proclamations, I believe. Then there's a picture of him putting a box of vegetables trying to put a box of vegetables into a wagon. The wagon is too small and the box is sitting on the top. The next picture is of borough president right after she won election at Thanksgiving, where she is putting a box inside the wagon. So those pictures, the picture of Mayor Adams.
How come you didn't get a picture of him waving the banana?
It's a squash. Okay, and people thought it was a cucumber.
I don't know. Some people thought it might have been the fish he had last night.
Well, my question to Mayor Adams was, he says he's going to get better food into the schools. How are you going to do that, Mayor Adams, when you have to take the lowest bid, which gives you the worst food? Okay, you're getting the worst fruits and vegetables into these schools and institutions. So that's what you have to buy. The food that was given out, by the way, yesterday came from the Hunts Point Produce Market. And we've seen here in the Bronx at food giveaways, I mean, food that's terrific, excellent large-sized fruit that is good, not the little crappy stuff you get in like a school. You get, for instance, apples come in a standard-sized box, and they can range from anywhere from 140 to apples in that box down to 60 apples in that box.
So then, Robert, you might be the one for me to ask this question. Mm-hmm. If all of that happened yesterday, and I know it did, then what was also pronounced yesterday was how they want to eliminate non-62, right? Non-62 has been a hashtag over the last several years here in the Bronx, showing that we are the worst county when it comes to our
right. That was by Borough President Gibson.
Well, not just Gibson. This is a hashtag that's been around now for about 5-6 years. So you can go as far back as Diaz. Of course, the original creator was Gustavo Rivera. I think when he created it, he was 200 pounds, which he's now 250 maybe. My question to you, Robert, is how does this work? No. So, Robert, my question to you is, how does this work, right? How does all of these wonderful fruits and vegetables that you're talking about, right? How do they translate to a slimmer borough when we've gotten fatter?
Well, what's been said is with these e-scooters, that the teenagers and the kids are now taking those scooters to go to Popeyes and McDonald's and Wendy's to get their fast food, that they're not walking to these places anymore. So the children are getting fatter. That's how you get fatter, by not walking.
Yeah, but they weren't around 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Well, the McDonald's, the Popeyes, and the Wendy's have been. That's
right.
why.
They've been around. You're right. They've been around for 50 to 100 years. And guess what? In the last 50 to 100 years, we didn't have an obesity problem. As a matter of fact, 30 years ago, people wanted to look like Bo Derek, right? People wanted to look like the girls on the Charlie's Angels show, right? So what happened to that? What happened that we are now, we're giving out all these wonderful fruits and vegetables that you're talking about. How did we get fatter?
No, that's only been given out recently. As for
again, this has been at least a 5-year
let me just,
program.
Anthony, because of our leaders like Gustavo Rivera, as you said, who originated the Not 62, Gustavo was 225 pounds. He lost 15 pounds. He went down to 210. He now weighs about 240 pounds. So Gustavo gave up those, the Big Macs and whatever, for maybe 30 days. But you know what? After the 30 days, he went back and said, give me 2 Big Macs and large fries. Okay, so he gained back all of that weight and some.
So then is that an example of saying that the event you were at yesterday does not work?
No. Right,
because I didn't see Gustavo there either yesterday.
No. These fruit giveaways and food giveaways did not happen while Gustavo was doing his night. Oh, here we go. Here's Mayor Adams. That's borough president on the left, and the city, I forgot what she is there on the right. On the left of Mayor Adams, our borough president is with the black coat and red pants.
Robert, she is the director at Mercy College.
Yeah, okay, I forgot. At Mercy Center. We were at the Mercy Center yesterday. So if we can have the next picture. Okay, this is of Mayor Adams trying to put this box of beautiful fruit and vegetables into a woman's wagon. And as you see, it's just sitting on the top. And if we go to the next picture, we'll see, this is our borough president-elect at the time during Thanksgiving, putting a box of vegetables inside a wagon, a box of food inside a wagon. So
who is that?
This is our current borough president. This is Thanksgiving. She was borough president-elect. She wasn't in office yet because she took office in January 1st. And, this is the proper way to put a box of food into a wagon. So, I mean, what can I say? We need this Not 62. Now, our borough president was with the owner of Muslim media, Sheikh Musa Drama, at Healthy Lifestyles in the summer. And hopefully she's going to plan and have that going on with Sheikh Musa year round, and people will eat healthier. Rather than going to McDonald's, they'll eat healthier. But let's move on to politics now.
Robert, I'm only going to, and I apologize. I just have to slightly disagree with you only because 10 years ago, I weighed 172 pounds. And I went to McDonald's 4 days a week. 10 years later, today, I still go to McDonald's 4 days a week. The difference is that I've instituted a running/jogging program within myself. So now, 10 years later, I'm 28 pounds less.
Correct.
I still go to McDonald's 4 days a week. My eating habits don't change, which is why I forced myself to have a more rigorous program. Because I'm not giving up my hamburgers and I'm not giving up my French fries. But like you say, you can't eat hamburgers and French fries and get on scooters, right?
Anthony,
so something's got to change. If it's not government, it's got to be ourselves.
Anthony, you said the magic word. It's not just eating healthy and right, but exercising. You have to go out and exercise, whether it be walking, jogging, or even riding a city bike, but not riding these e-scooters because you're not getting exercise. You have to walk, run, or ride a bike. I myself have recently, in the past 2 weeks, fit back into a pair of jeans that I couldn't fit into 2 years ago because I gained a little weight during the pandemic. I couldn't do my exercise. But now I've been walking and eating right. I eat salads 5 nights a week. I eat fruits in the morning. I try and get out and walk as often as I can. And speaking of walking, Mr. Producer, now before you put our guest on, can you put that last photo up? The last photo, I said, there's one more photo. That one, okay. And this is a picture of the new Bronx Democratic headquarters, which just happens to be at 1954 Williamsbridge Road. Which
it looks like your new homeless shelter.
No, Anthony. And I will be walking past this new Bronx Democratic Center or county office at least 2 or 3 times a week because
are you going to be there 2-3 times a week to hand out food to the people that are homeless?
No, Anthony. No? You know why? Because the new Bronx Democratic county office is 2 blocks from where I live. I live around the corner from Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez's office.
Poor boy.
And now 1 block more on the way to the post office or other things is this new Bronx Democratic Party headquarters.
Me and our guests that you'll shortly introduce will pray for you. Go ahead.
Okay. And, you know, this was supposed to be in Senator Bailey's office on the first maps. But when they redrew the maps, Senator Biaggi was put back into her old district. And let's get into politics now, and let's introduce our guest, Mr. Gene Francis. And we have Gene Francis here because Gene ran for Assembly in 2020 on the Republican line. Our producer wants to introduce more sides other than the Democratic Party. Now, Gene, can you tell us what is happening in the Republican Party?
Oh, wait a minute, Robert, wait a minute. And I know where you're going to go. But let's introduce Gene appropriately. Gene is also the Merchant Association president of the Allerton Merchants Association. And the only reason I think we should tie that in is because, as with all of our other guests, right, at the end of the show, Gene will show us the proper place to go eat for free. Go ahead.
All right. But we know that in our Democratic primary that when the state committee comes together, Kathy Hochul will be nominated for governor. We'll have Letitia James nominated for attorney general, and we'll have Tom DiNapoli nominated for state controller. Now, as I said, Gene is an expert in Bronx Republican politics. I'd probably say it's second to only the county leader, whatever his name is. What's the name of the county? Michael Rendino. So, Gene, I've gotten an invite to the Republican convention as a media person. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go. It's in Garden City on February 27th, if I'm not mistaken. Are you going to be attending that? And what do you expect to see at the Republican? Because we really don't know who's going to be running on the Republican line for governor, controller, and attorney general. Can you fill us in a little bit and introduce yourself?
Hey, Gene DeFrancis. So wear many hats. Today I'm wearing the Yankee hat. Just a quick note that I am a community leader, more so than anything. I do what's best for the community. And what's best right now, what's happening in my neighborhood is a lot of people are jumping to the Republican Party. So we're heavily engaged with talking with everybody there. I want to go back to one of your other points where the new county office is. I think there's more to that story that shouldn't just be passed over because they're putting it in a heavily red district. So there's going to be a big battle this year, and a lot's going to happen at convention, Bob. I wouldn't miss that if I was you, because you're going to see a lot of new faces at that convention. A lot of Republican curious Democrats are going to pop in because we're swinging a lot of people over to this party because the Democrat Party doesn't. You know, a lot of people forget I was an independent most of my life. I just joined the Republican Party in 2020. After running in the special election. And the only reason I ran wasn't because I was passionate about being a politician. I didn't have really a positive view on politicians. And most of the Bronxites don't, especially in my neighborhood. We're apolitical. You know, Democrats, Republicans, they didn't represent us for a long time. That's how we became 62. So this is a new Republican Party that's energized, it's diversified, and it's a big tent. And a lot of exciting things. You know, I hear the old stories. We don't have fundraisers and events and things that, you know, a lot of the politicos like to attend. But that's going to change, and we're going to have a Republican governor in 2022. You can bet on that because we have fantastic candidates.
Who's going to be going to the convention trying to be governor? I know we have, what, 3 or 4 people looking to be the Republican candidate?
Well, Henry Wilson just threw his name in the ring this week. I don't know him personally. I'm good friends with Andrew Giuliani. I really have a lot of great respect for Lee Zeldin. He's a veteran as well, as am I and Anthony. So there's a code there. And then you can't count out Astorino. I know a lot of people are counting out Rob because he ran already and wasn't successful, but it's a different climate. So I think those 4 men are the tops.
Gene, can I ask you a question?
Sure. Go ahead, Anthony.
Your state senator, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe your state senator is Miss Biaggi. Am I correct?
We're going to get to this, Anthony.
Wait. I'm asking him a question.
Well, technically, it's Bailey. I'm right on the border, so I'm registered.
Okay. The reason why I asked, and I appreciate you answering that, and I apologize, is that a lot of people say that Miss Biaggi won her seat because of her grandfather. So my question to you is when you examine Andrew Giuliani, right? He's not his father. So do you see any better highlights from him?
You know, we got to keep in mind, and when I talk to the experts, that the general population are not experts. They go with what is familiar sometimes and what they're comfortable with. And in this day and age, where public safety is at the forefront of everybody's mind, especially here in the Bronx, we're losing a lot of children on our streets too, and there's too much blood this past year. And we all are pretty confident that it's due to the reforms that they try to implement. I have no doubt they had good intentions, but the road to hell is paved in good intentions, and it's destroying our community. So when you hear the name Giuliani, I know the Democrats are lobbying hard to bring in this new image of Rudy Giuliani, but to most New Yorkers, he represents safety and security and organization.
But that's my worry. But Gene, that's my worry. When we mentioned Biaggi 4 years ago, you thought of the grandfather. When you think of the grandfather, you think of crime, and you think of crime going down because of people like her grandfather. Well, what does she say today? Because she got elected on those merits, what does she say today? Defund the police. So my worry is Andrew Giuliani going to do the same thing? We know that his father represents, in some people's opinion, good police authority. But that doesn't mean Andrew does.
With Andrew, I can 100% guarantee you that fruit didn't fall from the tree at all. It's on the tree. It's firm on the tree. He is definitely pro safety, as is Lee. There's not much separation between the two candidates. And Rob, the Republican candidates are all pretty much on board that we need to treat everybody with respect, and that includes the police. There are people. There are neighbors, and that respect was lost when the Democrats signaled that everything that they did, everything that they touched was wrong. It's not the criminal's fault. And yeah, there's room for reforms and communication, but they totally signaled went left and went off the cliff with their agenda.
Okay, let me just
to defend Alessandra real quick. I've been in the room privately with her. We've had some conversations, in my personal opinion, and she may come on and disagree with it, but I think she's being strong-armed by the progressive left. There's certain things that from our conversations I strongly disagree with, and that's her platform and her beliefs. But a lot of the things that she's saying and doing, it really doesn't communicate with what she says privately.
Let me just say one thing. You'll see here is a Rudy Giuliani inauguration staff all access pass from 1994 at his inauguration. I worked on the Rudy Giuliani campaign.
Or did you just bring that for me?
All right. I worked on the Rudy. No. Let me just say, I worked on the Rudy Giuliani campaign. His son is his son was there at the inauguration when he was a little boy, and he tried to take over the inauguration a little bit with his speech. But he is no Rudy Giuliani. Andrew Giuliani is no Rudy Giuliani. All right. I have to say that after meeting him, and for me, after meeting Lee Zeldin, he was very impressed. I was very much impressed by Lee Zeldin. And I think Lee Zeldin can give Kathy Hochul the race that the others on the Republican line can't. All right.
I'm very convinced and confident that all three men, and possibly Henry, I have to do more research on Henry Wilson, could be Kathy or any Democrat that announced so far. As far
so
as
then, Gene,
you got to keep in mind too. Yeah.
So then, presuming you're right, when do we get cops on the beat?
That's a great question. Well, we do in Allerton, and I know that the 4-9 has cops on the beat, and they're welcome. I know that there is not serious consideration to have a cop on every corner, and as a Republican, and this is my own personal opinion, police are welcome in our neighborhood, but I know for a fact that it's not a popular decision to have police on every corner. But they're welcome to come into the stores and be present and be visible and part of the community. But I think and it is a militant approach where we need the police. We need the community to look out for our neighborhood, and we need the police to be able to attend our 911 calls within 2 to 3 minutes, especially when they are a true emergency. Those are the reforms that we need to focus on. How do we get call times to be responded? A police officer, you know, crime doesn't happen when there's a police officer on the corner. So, and we have a lot of corners on our street, so in our neighborhood. So, will we have enough police to have one on every corner? It's not realistic. We need grandmas out the windows keeping an eye on the neighborhood and calling 911 and the police showing up within 2 minutes to answer that concern when it's an emergency. So I don't know if cops on the beats, especially during the dead of winter, is going to solve our problem, like some people believe. But we do need a visible presence, not just plainclothes monitoring the gangs, because there is a balance that needs to be struck on that. We want the police visible, we want them there, but not an overbearing presence. And plus, they don't have the manpower to do that realistically.
You're right on that, Gene. Gene, you're right on that because, Gene, I remember going on White Plains Road years ago. All right. People say I'm not from this area. I've only moved here a couple of years ago, but I remember 5-10 years ago on White Plains Road, there used to be cops walking the beat. And probably the same thing on Allerton Avenue, that cops walk the beat. Do we need those cops back on the beat in the commercial areas? Because the way, and what's happening to the stores on Allerton Avenue? Because we know that Walgreens is closing on White Plains Road. How is the CVS on Allerton Avenue? Is there problems there, Gene?
There's tremendous problems in all the corporate stores, and I think that's more of a corporate issue because of their policy and their insurance policy as well, because they just claim the loss on insurance, from what I'm told. CVS, Walgreens, they're really not.
All right, I gotta ask the obvious question. I have to ask the obvious question. Gene, where did you live in 1976?
I wasn't born in 76. I lived with my dad.
That's my point. You have no idea what the 1970s were like. For you to say, as you just did on air, that we don't need police either on the beat in a residential area, which I can somewhat agree with in today's times, but to say that we don't need them on commercial strips, I really advise you to see and learn how the Bronx was in the 1970s, so people will understand maybe why policies such as and it wasn't just the Giuliani policy, it was also the Dinkins policy as well, right, was so adamant about having a strong police presence in the 1980s, because all of the radicalness that took place in the 1960s and 70s. And sadly, I can attest to that personally because my hair was black before when that happened.
Right. Let me just continue on Anthony because
let me just hit two solutions that do work. The broken windows does work, and the stop and frisk does work as well, which Rudy implemented stop and frisk, and Bloomberg blew it up with the quotas. That's when the stop and frisk really started being corrupted and destroying, because we knew who the criminals were in our neighborhood. We knew who to keep an eye out, and we did as a community. Back in the 80s, we could leave our doors wide open and our windows open and go to sleep.
Correct.
And wake up feeling safe in Allerton. That's all changed. So do we need a police presence? Yes. Do we need one on every corner? No, because we know where the crime is. So we needed focus, and it's mainly coming out of NYCHA, unfortunately. These people are held hostage by the gang activity, and most of those people that are holding NYCHA hostage don't live in those housing projects. They're coming from outside.
Gene, I got to correct you because it comes also from the good areas too. It comes from those buildings that are expensive, those expensive high-rise condos that you see. Okay, that's where it came from in Riverdale. It came from the expensive high-rise condos like 2600 Netherland Avenue, where a former city councilwoman lived. That's where the drug dealers were. Okay, this is the problem.
Good stuff, too.
As Anthony says, you don't remember these days, and everybody gives Rudy Giuliani the credit for cleaning up crime. It started in the last year of the David Dinkins administration, the Safe Streets program, and there were more than twice the amount of cops in each precinct than there are now, because also the MTA, rather the Transit Authority, had their own police force, as did the housing police. They were all separate into three different forces. Bloomberg, I believe, merged them all into one, and that's where you lost some power. I know in the houses by me in Community Board 8 there, Marble Hill, we had a dozen police officers in those houses before they were merged. Now there's 2 officers going into those houses. Okay, so you tell me that where is crime? As you said, it's in the housing units, these NYCHA buildings, because there is no police presence in these.
Well, again, you know what, Robert? I'm going to slightly disagree with you. When I hear that subway crime is back to the 1970s at 60%, I don't think you have to go to the NYCHA buildings. All you have to do is go to the 1 train. Gene, the best way for me to explain to you the 1970s in a nutshell is the numbers you see today in all of the crime stats, some of them for a 1-month period, some of them for a year-over-year period. Imagine that every month for 10 years. That's what the 1970s was. That wasn't a dream. That was reality.
Absolutely. And our buildings
Dion Powell is calling. Excuse me. Dion Powell is online.
Good.
Dion Powell.
Good.
Yes, go ahead, Dion.
Welcome, Dion. So we agree on that.
It's
and
calling.
That's why when Republicans started seeing the bud growing, we wanted to nip it, because we saw and we still see that trajectory where we could go back into the 70s, and we don't want to be there. So when they were shouting defund the police, and I'm all for hiring more police officers. That's not what I'm saying when I say we don't need them on every corner, but we need police officers. There's no doubt in my mind, and every single Republican agrees, we need police officers and we need to hire more. And it's atrocious that they're even thinking of firing police officers who didn't get the vaccine. I mean, it's just more apprehensible day after day with these policies that they're trying to create.
So is it safe to say then that the Republican Party will increase funding as opposed to defund? Is it safe to say that at the Republican convention that they might say to increase the police budget for these reasons?
Hello, Dion Powell is online. Please listen to him. Please go ahead, Dion.
Well, obviously we don't have him, so let's continue. Gene, the other thing that we saw in the 80s was the
You there, Bob?
The producer muted me for a few minutes. All right. Obviously, Dion Powell can't get through. and he was a co-host on this show who left the show, and there's no reason for him to be calling in now. All right. If he wants to come on as a guest, he can. But the subways back in the 70s and 80s were 100% full of graffiti inside and out. All right. We're starting to see graffiti again on the subways, on buildings. It's being taken care of. Our councilwoman said that Wildcat will continue in the 13th Council District, so that will be taken care of. I'm sure Oswald Felice, who covers your area, has a plan. But
Oswald
it's
and Marjorie, just to be clear, Oswald and Marjorie splits Allerton as well. So
right, Boston Road is the dividing line. Now, while we're on the subject of districts, and she was brought in before, Senator Biaggi. She has gone to run for Congress in her area of Pelham, that area of a little bit of Westchester, the Bronx, and it's a Long Island-based district. We're not going to talk about that, but I want to talk about people running for her seat. Now, we have heard on the Democratic line that Councilwoman Velazquez, Assemblywoman Fernandez, there's talk that Community Board 11 member Christian Amato. There is a former chief of staff from Andrew Cohen by the name of Theobald. And I believe, Anthony, you said there's another person, a man who has connections to Jeffrey Dinowitz running. We see that on the Democratic line. Again, the Democratic...
When did I say that?
Well,
when did I say that?
Maybe it was someone else, Anthony, that I've talked to. All right, I talked to a lot of people.
I don't remember saying anything.
When it comes to politics, I think of you first.
I love you too.
Okay. Who is going to be running for the 30? Well, it's going to be called the 36th Senate seat because there are 2 more Senate seats down here in the city. So the numbers are going up. The 34th is now going to become the 36th. So, Gene, do you have a candidate for the 36th Senate district?
So, as you know, the lines recently changed. So with that, a lot of other changes are being spoken about. We're going to find the best fit right now. I have a couple of close personal friends that I personally vetted and will endorse wholeheartedly. So I wanted to give you an answer today, and we could speculate on who's going to run. But as of right now, we're going to find the people that are the best fits, and they're not. They may not be longtime Republicans, but they are blue dogs.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello,
hey, welcome, Dion.
Go ahead, they're listening to you.
All right, guys, this is Dion Powell, Councilman, 79th Assembly District. How all is well?
How you doing, Dion?
I can't. Yes,
Dion, you want to run for state senate?
I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
You used to be a co-host, Dion.
Out of the way. I want to say hello to Gene DeFrancis. I'll be moving into this district maybe a month from now on Barker Street. So look out and welcome you with open arms.
May the Lord say prayers to everyone.
Did you say Barker Street, Dion?
Barker.
Right, that's Anthony. You know who lives on? Do you know who lives on Barker Street, Anthony?
Who, Robert?
Your Community Board 7 chair, Miss Aisha Bravo, lives on Barker Street.
Well, we do know Mr. Powell has put in applications for community board district managers, so I'm sure he'll be keeping an eye out on that.
And I have to correct all the non-Allertonians too. It's actually an avenue. It's Barker Avenue.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No,
He's going to be a good new community leader. Okay.
Well, that's the Bronx Park East section. So, you'll be with Kenny Augusto and well, that they don't think they're part of Allerton.
In the Bronx Times. I know some of them don't, but the reality is that it is Allerton, and so is Pelham Gardens. It's a part of Allerton.
Okay,
That's where the
let's
Allerton
get back.
homeowners headquarters.
Let's get back to the current 34th Senate District, future 36th Senate District. It used to go from Hunts Point all the way around through Throggs Neck, Morris Park, into Riverdale, and it also went up into Pelham, which is the reason that Alessandra Biaggi ran.
Anthony, who would you like to see? Who would you guys like to see as a Republican candidate?
I think your female district leader is doing a fantastic job. All right. But let me just continue a little bit. What's that?
Miss Phyllis Nastasio, you mean?
Yeah, she's doing a terrific job. She's on Community Board 8. Was Community Board 11. She was the chair of the Columbus Day Parade. She seems to be an excellent person. I mean, I would run her against. I would run her for the assembly.
And a great cook.
She's a great
because
cook,
Gene,
a great woman. She's been in this community a long time. A lot of people know her. I think she would be an excellent senator for this district, and she knows how to work with people across the aisle and just take care of wrong sides and put the party first. I really respect that idea and that choice, and maybe she will be.
However, Gene, what you don't know about the Senate district is the majority of it is in Riverdale. You have to have roots in Riverdale. Okay, so you have to be well known.
No, Bob, I don't think that's 100% accurate.
No?
What I would say is that 40% of it is the east side, 40% of it is Riverdale, the other 20% are segments. So probably the biggest segment of those segments would be the area that I live in that has been now instituted into that area.
Well, it also goes up to Westchester County, Anthony. Alessandra Biaggi will still be in the Senate district, but what happened? Some of the east side was cut away.
Right.
It's now in. Oh, and we have to wish Senator Louis Sepulveda a happy birthday because he picked up part of the old 34th Senate district. He now has no.
For you, Louis. Happy birthday.
All right, so it has to be someone who is well known on the east side, but has roots also in Riverdale. And
are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Okay, we're back. I'm waiting for a question from Anthony RIVIECCIO. I'm waiting for a question from you, Anthony, since I mentioned that you have to be known in the east side and have Riverdale roots. So where is the question, Anthony?
No, it's not a question. I sort of wanted to clarify that. You're giving the impression that the person has to come from Riverdale. And of course, that's one viable idea, but I don't think it's the end idea. I think a good person from the east side, a viable person from the east side, can go to Riverdale. And again, you got a 20% segment, right? Which they like to call our organization the wild card. Well, we would be literally in the same situation, right? If you got 40% here, 40% there, right? You got two viable candidates. Well, that 20% now becomes very important.
Well, Anthony, I was the PA president of the largest school in Riverdale, 141, which was a middle school.
Yeah, but that don't count, Bob, because Gene has grown up since then.
And I was also on Community Board 8 and well-liked in Riverdale. Now I'm here in the east side and well-liked. I'm now a member of the board of the Pelham Parkway Neighborhood Association. I'm on the Van Ness Neighborhood Association, the Morris Park Community Association.
Bob, if you gave me a $1,000 donation, you could be a member of Northwest Bronx Democrats.
No, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. But there's a reason I'm spreading the wealth around, Anthony. As you know, I'm a declared candidate.
I'll send you the PayPal link. Okay.
But, the Democratic field is a little crowded. So I may come over and talk to Gene and maybe his county leader about running on the Republican line. Okay, it doesn't matter. A person should be able to run.
Good company, Bob.
Actually, what it should be nonpartisan. Okay, like we have special elections for the city council that are nonpartisan. This way, you run as a person and not as a party. Okay, so
my whole philosophy and mission has been about breaking up the monopoly. A two-party system, some argue, isn't enough. Well, a one-party system is corrupt, always. And you can have your little groups within the party, but at the end of the day, it funnels up to the apex, and that's who really controls the Bronx. And we've been 62, for too long, and so it's time to diversify our politics as well as our neighborhoods and bring competition. And Mike Rendino, our chairman, has been doing a great job. He's been listening to various ideas. He's opened up the tent to a lot of new ideas, but still staying firm with Republican principles. A lot of people forget there's a lot more conservatives in the Democrat Party. They're called Blue Dogs. You know them. Our good friend Efren and leads the way on that. And than they are in the Republican Party. So my point is, there are more conservatives in the Bronx in the Democrat Party than there are in the Republican Party. So just let that simmer. And when the Democrat Party is tearing each other apart this coming governor cycle, the Republican Party is unified.
Let me give you a perfect example of what you're talking about. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of what you're talking about. I don't know if you're aware, it was announced yesterday, for the first time in over 100 years, Fordham University will now be run by a woman. And it will be run by a woman who will be a non-Jesuit. Now, there's a number of different reasons for that. One would say, and he said it himself, Father McShane, the current president, is that there aren't any more Jesuits anymore. So what I'm saying in saying that is that you now have conservatives that think a lot more liberal.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, Anthony.
I'm a moderate, so
we see that in the Bronx as the Republicans have been replaced by, I don't want to say progressives, but more progressive Democrats over the Republicans. And unfortunately, Gene, that's what happened in the 80th Assembly District, or you might have been the assemblyman, okay, is that over the time from the 1980s and 1970s, people have left the Bronx. And a perfect example of that is the Morris Park Community Association, which was a vibrant community association with, about 1,000 members? They're down to 250 members. And they only have one Italian on their executive board, Al D'Angelo. All right, not to say that Yahe...
The Yemenis and the Italian community, there's a lot of similarities. And once they opened that communication and got to know each other, they married very well together. I mean, Morris Park to many is the little Italy of the Bronx. It's no longer Arthur Avenue. And it's beautiful. And I think, that is my culture too. And it needs to have representation in the Bronx. You can't just discard the Jewish community and the Italian community. We have to, if we're going to talk about diversity, every culture needs to be represented. And Morris Park, the community association, used to be all Italian. It's no secret because it was an Italian neighborhood. When they moved from Grand Concourse and came here, they settled in Morris Park, and a lot moved, and we lost some great men. Silvio passed away this year, and other leaders from that association. But Al is doing a great job, and Yahe's on board about strengthening just the ties. It's not about so much who moves into the neighborhood, it's who's going to take care of the neighborhood. When you take care of the neighborhood, then it's your neighborhood. You have ownership of that neighborhood when you nurture. And we don't want people that are just going to take from the neighborhood. And a lot of the people that are making decisions for us in Allerton and Morris Park don't live in the area. And so that's one of the things, like Naomi Fernandez. She didn't live in the area. She moved here. Mark brought her on and as a staff, and then she wanted to tell everybody how to run their lives. Al's not on board with that. I'm not on board with that. And she couldn't get out fast enough. And anybody associated with her is going to be snake bit because she's not spending any time in the office. She's looking to move to other ventures, borough president and now state senate. So if I was her, I would call President Biden and move to D.C. Try to see if she could get a job there, because it's not going to go well for that administration. They're just not that popular here as much as they want to believe.
Well, Gene, what I've been told, and people are going to say, "Oh no, she never said that," or "He never said that." What I've been told, that Natalia Fernandez will be going into the Kathy Hochul administration should Kathy, or when Kathy gets reelected. Okay, that will open up the assembly seat, and the county Democratic district leader Remy Salas will get that seat, or he will be pushed into that seat, because he will have the Democratic nomination, because you go by the county committee, and county controls almost every county committee in each assembly district.
Wait a minute. So then I'm confused. Are you saying then, Robert, that you're not running, or are you conceding the fact that you're going to lose?
No, I'm not saying anything, Anthony.
Well, you've announced that you're running for that same position, but you mentioned Remy Salas. So
Right.
Are you suggesting that Remy's going to beat you?
I'm not saying that. If he loses too, he may run. It all depends. There are other people. What you forgot, Marcos Sierra. Marcos at Thursday nights, or whatever, the public hearing where he spoke on the shelters, he said, "Am I still in the district?" And I said, "Yeah, you're in by one block." And he basically didn't know if he was still in the district, which he is. So he will be running for re-election also, Marcos Sierra. Then there was talk that
but I'm only saying that because you sort of implied that Remy was a given. So I wanted to say, there's still an election that
right. But what
my concern with Remy is that Remy, I like what Remy's been doing in the neighborhood. We've been keeping an eye on it. He's been doing a lot of great work, but he's aligned with the wrong group. They're trying to sell him on the idea that they're the incumbent and they know what's best and that they're popular. That's a lie. She can't get out of here fast enough. A lot of people close the doors, and those that are nestling up to her are just trying to keep an eye on her. We know how it goes. I'm not going to name any names, but they just want to, see where she is. They're basically infiltrating her, and she's just not here.
Are they infiltrating her or collecting the envelope?
These people that don't know the circle. What's that?
I said, are they infiltrating her or collecting the envelopes?
Well, from what I heard, they were offered envelopes, but never received. The big cardboard checks, they're not as welcome in the banks, apparently. So they swear that nothing materialized from that show, and it irritated them as well. So there's going to be a lot of changes, and we should get back together next month at some time, and when the petitions are in and the dust is settled, and we'll have a great conversation then too, because Kathy Hochul is not going to be the governor in 2022. It's going to be Patterson all over again, where the governor gets disgraced and the person that fills in just goes on.
Okay, guys, we have 2 minutes left. So, Anthony, do you want to say any final words? And then we'll let Gene.
Gene, I want to thank you for coming on our show. And audience, I want to wish everybody a very good Friday. And remember, at 5 p.m. today, to be financially focused at our university.
And Gene, before Gene comes on, I just want to say we brought him on to pick his brain about who's going to be running on the Republican line for governor, attorney general, state, and state senate, as well as the assembly. Gene, take it away. You can end the show. Go ahead.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It was a great, vibrant conversation. I want to encourage everybody to not just vote, but get educated. Even the judgeships. Know who's running in every single position. Do your research. That's your duty as a citizen. So don't just vote. You have to vote. That's your duty too. But get educated. Have conversations with people that disagree with you, because that's when you learn the most. Gentlemen, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk some more.
Hey, Gene, quick question.
Are you curious about financial literacy? then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.